What's going on, guys? Gibbs is back, and we are predicting how players will sit at the RLCS LAN. So I'm going to go through maybe Psychology 101. I've never taken a psychology course in my life, so I could be completely wrong with these. But I figured, let's have some fun with it. Let's see how these guys are going to sit, because there was a couple of interesting tidbits from the first RLCS LAN that we can show going forward. So I'll go through the psychology as we go throughout the predictions, but I thought let's have some fun with it, and let's predict how these guys are going to sit when they're up on the main stage. Now, this is assuming that the stage will still be 3 on one side, 3 on the other, and like they kind of meet in the middle almost, you know, like side by side. So that's what I figure how the stage will be set up. I don't know for sure, but we're going to go with it anyway for this fun prediction show. Here we go. First, we'll start with the favorites to win the whole LAN, and they had a big presence at the first LAN. Flipsid3 Tactics, they were also the most interesting team, according to Seedon, based on how they all worked here. So we're going to go through this real quick. So they started out, Marky, he started as the middle, as like kind of that team captain for the first series versus IBP. Then he also came back for the third series and went to the middle again, which was really interesting. Now, here's my thoughts. There's two thoughts about the middle seat. Either you put a team captain there, the one that's going to rally the troops. He could go in the middle to keep both of the other two guys with the morales high. So this is what happened with Cosmic with over 0 in the middle instead of Crow. It was more about the morale. He really kept the guys excited and pumped up and all that. And that really helped to have Cosmic have over 0 in that middle seat while Crow was on the outside. Some teams also switched based on what side they were, because they wanted, like, maybe their toughest guy to be facing closest to the opponents. Of course, this could all be a conjecture, but we'll go through it as we go. But anyway, so this one was really interesting. Marky was in the middle for the first series. Mike was closest to the opponents. Cook's here is kind of protected throughout all these seeding arrangements. He was the furthest away from the opponents in the first series and the third series versus Exodus. In the other series, like, Flipside's the only team I believe to have done this, where they kind of put their guy that looked like, I would say, the most nervous. Now, Cookseer didn't play nervous at all, but he looked a little uncomfortable on stage compared to Marky and Mike. So eventually they just put him in the middle seat, and then they had Marky and Mike just kind of protecting him. Marky, I believe, was always facing the opponents. Now, he's a lot taller than Mike Rule, so he probably looks a little bit more intimidating. Plus, the whole captain-ish role seems to play an effect to probably put him near the opponents. But in this scenario, it looks like they were trying to protect Cookseer as much as possible. So now here's where it gets interesting, because now they don't have Mike Rules anymore. They still have Marky and Cooks. It's still the same setup there. I believe they're probably going to keep Cookseer in the middle, try and protect him some more. Now it comes down to, is Cookseer comfortable with Greasy as well? Compared to Mike, it might change up their scene. It might put Cookseer just furthest away from the opponents at all times. Marky, I think either way, is going to be closest to the opponents. Actually, I'm going to take that back. I think Marky's like still a team captain role, so if Cookseer's not in the middle and they're not trying to protect him, because he should be more comfortable anyway at this line, I think Marky will be in the middle, then Greasy will be on the side nearest the opponents. Greasy was the middle seat for Northern Gaming, so that kind of changes things up too. Maybe Greasy takes the middle seat. I think this 3-seeded team is going to be the hardest to predict out of pretty much all of them, because I could see it going in any way. All 3 could be a middle seat. The only thing I don't see happen is Cookseer being closest to the opponent. It seemed like they were trying to keep him far away from the opponents as best they could. Next up, we have Northern Gaming. So here, I think this one's tough. We have the Backstreet Boys, basically, Remco, Greasy, and Maestro. Greasy was the team captain for first season. He sat in the middle. I believe Remco was always near the opponents, I believe. I could be wrong with that one. I kind of forget some of these, but whatever. We'll continue. So what I think is going to happen is I think Remco is going to take that leading role and be in the middle seat. I honestly don't know enough about Remco and Maestro to tell you which one's going to be the middle role. I doubt Mystic will be the middle role. I assume he'll be on the side away from the opponents, unless they have comfortable seating otherwise. No other team had like their most nervous player in the middle seat, so I don't expect to see that like how they did for Flipside. Now, Mystic should be the most nervous coming into this LAN because it's his first LAN. So That's a possibility, but the only team that did it last time was Flipside to protect their guys. So I think Mystic will just be on the side. Remco and Maestro have a good bond, so they probably want to be near each other as well. You would think more fist bumps, or the weird fake handshake fist bump that Cosmic was doing. So I'm going to put Remco in the middle seat here. Could be Maestro as well, but I think Remco would probably be more of the leadership role. Next up, we got Mockit Aces. So we're doing all Europe right in a row here. We have last season, of course, this is a completely different team. Siki, Pashy, and Turbo. Pashy, obviously the team leader. Also, Siki and Turbo were very shy. The entire LAN experience that they were a lot more shy than Pashy was. You could tell maybe they didn't want to be in interviews and all that stuff. Obviously, Mockit didn't win any games, so they didn't have any interviews. But it just seemed like they wanted to not really worry about it. So I have those two in the outside seat. Pashy, again, though, with Devo and Panda, should be that middle seat. Devo, I believe, has a little bit of LAN experience. I thought he went to the last Insomnia. I could be wrong there. Actually, I think I am wrong there. I think it was someone else. But anyway, Pashy's going to be middle seat. I'm not sure which way Devo or Panda are going to go. I know Devo's really young, so maybe they put him away from the opponents. I'm not sure the age of Panda. I forget. I don't really know these guys too well, again, because they're Europe. It's a little harder to know these guys personally as much as I probably should, but I'm going to say Panda will be near the opponents, Pashy will be in the middle, Devo will be away from the opponents there. Next up, we got Precision Z. So, of course, they weren't here last time, but Siki was on Mockit, and again, he was pretty shy going to the LAN. And again, I don't know a ton about K-Dop and Skyline. The few times I played with Skyline, he seemed a little bit shy. So I'm going to give K-Dop the edge here for the center seat. I think he'll be trying to form more of that leadership role. Siki might be away from the opponents, depending on how Skyline's feeling. Siki should have some more experience at the LAN, so maybe he steals that middle seat. Or maybe he faces the opponents. We'll see. Yeah, I'm going to go Siki facing the opponents, K-Dop middle, Skyline on the outside looking in. Now, not every team actually switched to face the opponents, but actually a lot did. There's only, I think, 2 teams that didn't change their seat arrangement at all. So for left, right, center, they just stayed the same if they're on orange or blue. I believe that was Kings of Urban. I believe the Flying Dutchman did that as well. And Cosmic did it as well. They never switched between Latch and Crow. Crow would face the opponents if they were blue side. Latch would face the opponents if they were orange side. So that might not come into play with all these teams, but a decent amount actually changed based on what side they were. Next team, we got NRG Esports. So last time they just did Jacob on the left, Fire in the middle, Sad on the right. The only thing that might change here is Jacob. He's a big guy. He's a little bit more intimidating than Fire and Sad. Obviously, he's not that intimidating because he's like a lovable guy. But I could see him being facing the opponents rather than always being in that left seat. But at the same time, they were pretty comfortable how they sat last time, but they did lose 2. So they might switch it up. But I assume Fire will be middle. He's always that center, that captain for the team. So he should definitely be center seat. I could just see Jacob facing the opponents if they wind up being on the opposite sides. So that was pretty easy there. Next up, so OrbitGG, they actually switched each time depending on where they played. Turtle was always facing near the opponents. Garrett was in the middle, and Moses was furthest away. Turtle definitely has a more confident personality than Moses. Moses was a little bit on the quieter side, and Turtle is a very confident kid. And I believe they'll do the same thing here, putting Turtle near the opponents, and Garrett G in the middle, Moses on the side. It just seems like if you breed more confidence or you breed more, swagger, then you're going to be facing the opponents. Unless you're team captain, then you might be in that middle seat. It seems like usually the shy guys are the ones that are either in the middle seat for flip side, or they're way on the outside, so they don't. So it's less on stage as well. That kind of helps too. So I could see that happening once again here. Next up, we have a Genesis and Espeon. Surprisingly, Espeon always face opponents. Now, Espeon was a lot more confident, I felt, than Pluto. Pluto looked really nervous. And last time they had Quinn as their center of attention, basically team captain, morale builder guy. Because he was definitely the oldest one of the group, so he was kind of trying to keep them in check. So without Quinn, things change up a bit. Now, Classics, I've met at PAX and stuff. He's he's a pretty shy kid. And of course, he hasn't been at any of these lands. So I think they'll keep him away from the opponents. And then it comes down to either Pluto in the middle or Espeon. But it seemed like Espeon was one facing opponents all the time. So they might put Pluto in that center seat and make him more of the team captain role. He's usually of that third rotation anyway. So I think it kind of makes sense putting him in that center seat. It's kind of very similar to what Fire was doing last season. So I think they'll put him center seat, but he could go on the outside and have Espeon come in as more of the captain role, the morale builder, and go into the middle seat. Next up, we have Take 3. They didn't play last time, so empty seats there. But I think Rizzo's probably more of the confident team captain guy, so I put Rizzo in the middle. Zane and Insol, I don't know as much. I think Zane would probably be the one facing opponents, and Insol would probably be the one hiding out on the side. But this one I'm not really sure about either because I haven't seen them a bunch. But we'll see going into the LAN, guys. But basically, it was very interesting to see that teams would actually change seating when they switch sides to make one guy face the opponents more. It seems very surprising because of how comfortable you are. Like, hey, on my left is always Fireburner or something, but then now he's on my right. You would think they would keep that the same, but they were actually, I think, worried about that, about people getting a little too nervous, being more maybe near the center of the stage rather than kind of on the outside of the stage where people can't really see them. So it could have been more that than about facing your opponents or being closer to your opponents. So maybe it was more of that, but we'll see going into the LAN if these predictions come true. If you have seeding predictions, let me know. It was really strange about Flipside, though. I think that was the only team that actually changed, like, middle seat in the middle. That was the only team that changed at all. We'll see what they do this time. I think that one's an interesting one. But those are my seeding predictions, guys. What do you got? Who's sitting where? How are they going to finish? No one cares. We just care where they're sitting. But that was RLCS seeding predictions. Yes, I will predict seeding positions, and I just did. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. I'll see you at the LAN. Later.